Welcome back to another episode and welcome officially to 2026. That is wild coming out of our mouths. And today we are coming in hot with a little bit of a life update. We're going to give you a rundown of what we've been up to over the last month, what we have planned for the podcast. And we're also going to run you through some supplements, what's actually worth investing in, what's a waste of your money, and what you should be paying attention to if you're wanting to take some supplements on your health and fitness journey. So without further ado, life update, hit us.
I actually feel like the most boring person the last month or so. I feel like I've been on, what's that Jim Carrey movie where it's just like every day is the same thing? I can't remember it. Someone who's watching
The Truman Show.
Yeah,
No?
The Truman Show.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been doing that with either study, work, or renos. I know you guys are so sick of hearing about renos, and I've been happy with that though, but I honestly don't feel like I've done anything really to deviate from that. There's been a lot on in terms of like, I don't know if I'm definitely not winding down for the end of the year. I know a lot of us can get in the habit of being like winding down in December and then in January kind of going hard. But I kind of feel like the last few months I've been ramping up and I feel really excited about starting in January and kind of just going really hard. But everything that I've been doing in terms of like training, work, all of that has just kind of been as it normally would be. And it's all stuff that I'm enjoying doing, but I honestly don't feel like I've done anything too kind of wild or crazy. Just working, training 4 days per week, doing one cardio session in the middle of the week, and then lots of social stuff. Like December is a month where I feel like we all kind of get wrapped up in the festive season. There's usually so much on, and I know that a lot of us can struggle with how to actually navigate that. And I feel like the best thing that I have done and continue to do is just be really adaptable. So I think that having those set days when I train, kind of organizing in advance when there were social things on, and then just kind of being as organized as possible with everything, so then I don't feel like I'm falling off the bandwagon every time it gets busy. I think that's really helped.
I feel like it's just been a rinse and repeat kind of cycle. I feel the same. Like in terms of major life updates, there's nothing that I can really think of. I had my Christmas party for all of my clients in December, socializing, all of the things that kind of happened. But other than that, we've just been cruising. Something that I'm just loving at the moment that I wanted to talk about in the podcast is I am a Kindle girl. Do you have a Kindle?
I have a Kindle, yeah.
Do you use your Kindle? You don't actually read much, do you?
Whoa.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. You just don't give me book energy.
Oh, I wish I had book energy. I love the idea of reading a full book, and I do have a Kindle, and I do go through waves of listening to audiobooks rather than reading a Kindle. But no, you're right. I don't give book energy.
Yeah, you don't give book energy. Anyways, I feel like I give big book energy. I love reading, and I recently invested in a Kindle. Actually, Aman bought it for my 30th birthday, and I just love it. I have read, I think in the month of December, I read 6 books.
I love that.
Which is just insane.
I've got a smart ring. That's probably my other update. I went from having a Apple Watch to an Ultra Human ring. Kate has a Aura ring, and my Apple Watch was dying. So honestly, at 3 p.m. every day, it would die, and then I'd wonder what my steps are on, and I wouldn't know, and it was really irritating. So it feels weird. I keep going to touch my wrist like I'm expecting that I'm wearing a wristband, and it feels a bit strange, but I'm really liking it so far because the battery life has been like 4 or 5 days until I need to charge it, which is cool. And then I just love all of the data around like sleep, stress, recovery, and then cycle syncing and all of that.
I love my Aura ring. Honestly, I invested in mine at the start of 2025, January 2025. I think I bought it for myself as like a Christmas present actually. Same thing with my Apple Watch, but the main reason that I decided to switch over is, to be honest, I feel like they probably do roughly the same thing. I think your Aura ring is a little bit more accurate if you're tracking your cycle and your increase, like you're focusing on body temperature and things like that. But I hated getting notifications on my watch. And don't get me wrong, you can obviously turn off the notifications, but that habit of doing this, constantly lifting up your arm to look at your watch face, drove me insane, especially when this year I focused a lot, and we've spoken about on the pod, on increasing productivity and not getting so distracted and focused. And I just felt my Apple Watch was just pulling away so much of my attention, even though it's like micro little moments during the day. But I love my Aura ring. We're Aura ring girlies. I'm a Kindle girly. I've read a lot of books. I'm actually back to my Kindle. I'm just really in my Kindle era. I am really into crime and thriller books at the moment. I went through the phase, you know how everyone reads, well, you don't read, but everyone else everyone else reads those like romantic, spicy novels. I went through that phase earlier this year, but now I'm in like my thriller phase. And oh my God, I can chew through those books in like 2 days.
I actually think
Obsessed.
I will try and get into some more books in the new year because I do have a big goal of wanting to, this year having more work-life balance in terms of like working in the office, coming down, chilling. I think that escapism in terms of reading a book would be really good because if I only read books or listen to podcasts or listen to audiobooks that are to do with my industry or what I'm constantly doing with work, I'm not really giving myself that essentially that escape and that like different world and that kind of, I don't know, reprieve in terms of creativity and things like that. So I think that would be a good idea.
It also helps me not be on my phone as much. And the reason I went with a Kindle was because I have so many books. Like so many books. And then I was getting to the point, I'm like, where do I store these? Like I don't want to buy a big bookshelf just to have these books collecting dust. So I decided, you know what? I think a Kindle is going to be my thing. What's my other life update? Going away for New Year's or like Christmas, New Year's break. Heading up to New South Wales, which is super rando, with a group of friends. Every year, me and this same group of friends hire a house and we go away for usually about a week or 10 days, which is so nice. The only other update that I really have, which I feel like I've spoken about it on the pod previously, I can't remember, is I am an auntie again. Did I tell you guys that?
I can't remember.
My brother had another baby, a little girl, which is so exciting. Her name is Heidi. And I've just been like full auntie life at the moment. I started taking care of my nephew Teddy every single Wednesday now. So I've got a car seat in my car. I feel like a full mother with no child, but it's good. That's pretty much my life update.
I love that. I think let's get into our word of the year.
I forgot about that. Did you come up with one?
I'm kind of torn between two, but they mean very similar things.
Okay.
So I think I was thinking between like expansion and abundance.
Oh,
Both of those are in the same kind of category of just like learning more, growing more, doing more, saying yes to things. And that's the kind of energy I think, as I mentioned in the last few episodes, that I'm studying this year. I also have big, business goals. Kate and I have big plans for the podcast.
which we're going to speak about in a sec.
100%. So we have lots of things and like that theme to me is just like growth. It's like I want to learn more. I want to do more. I think that in 2025, I set a very good like foundation for a lot of what I'm wanting to do. I'm really liking the direction that I'm in and I want to just essentially do that tenfold in this new year. So I think expansion is probably the best.
Expansion and abundance. What about if you just have 2 words?
We can actually do whatever the fuck we want.
Free will, baby. Free will. She's got 2 words. I'm like internally was trying not to laugh that whole time, not at your words. I think that they're actually so good. I'm in a silly, goofy mood today, guys. But I'm laughing because my word of the year is like so left of field. Like I just don't know. Can you try and guess what you think my word of the year would be?
Now I'm confused. I don't know.
Like if you just looked at me, like what would you think my word of the year is? Once I say it, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Because you know me so well. Just guess any word.
I have the most basic ones. I have like discipline, consistency, technology.
This is perfect.
Okay.
Because do you want to know what my word of the year
Tell
is? Unbothered.
I love it.
How good is that? I just realized it's so funny. The reason I wanted you to guess it is because I knew you would guess like consistency, discipline, because that's like who I am to my fucking core. But this year, I've decided my word of the year is going to be unbothered because I feel like we spend so much time, and I've been victim of this in 2025 with little pockets throughout the year. And don't get me wrong, 2025 was incredible. We did so much. We traveled, we grew our businesses, we grew the podcast, like all the incredible things, right? But I feel like in 2025, I had little pockets where I was just like so fixated on trying to control things that were completely out of my control. And I am like, I would say I'm a type A/type B kind of personality. Like a lot of big decisions that I need to make, I'm like easy, whatever, it is what it is, doesn't matter, don't think about it. But little micro things that shouldn't impact me as much as they do. So I decided, you watched a couple of Crash Outs live this year from me. So I decided that this year I'm just going to go in with the unbothered mindset. What is in my control is in my control, and what isn't is not even getting a fucking second thought because I'm over it. So unbothered. It is what it is. Maybe I'm going to have 2. Unbothered and it is what it is. That's Perfect. Like 6 words, but whatever.
I actually love that as well. I've seen this, what would I call it? Just like an activity that you can do if you do feel like you got caught in that mindset. Because I've done it as well. I'll be like hyperfixating on something and it's like, just let it go. But there's this thing called the wheel of stress, and in the center is you. And then I think the first external circle is inside your control, like your actions, your response, you know, what you do next, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a wheel that's beyond that first circle. And that's like things you can't control, like other people's opinions, like literally things that are completely outside your control, and just visually putting those down of where you are, what's inside your control, what's outside your control. And then just being like, cool, why am I even worrying about the second circle kind of thing? Like if you literally can't do anything different to change the, you know, what's going to happen with that, why are you wasting your time? You just need to focus on this first circle. I think that can be a good visual sometimes as well.
Yeah, I love that. I've been doing that this year. I don't do it in a circle though, but I do it on a list. So I'll get like a piece of paper and I'll draw a line down the middle and go in my control, out of my control. So just say I'm feeling stressed about, I don't know, anything, whatever, finding a car park or something. I can put like the stressor is finding a car park. Is it in my control? Yes or no? And I can cross them off the list. So then when you think or you zoom out, you're like, oh, well, actually the things that are in my control are like 2 things out of a list of 10 things that are causing me to overthink or be overwhelmed at the moment. But I still feel like I was just holding on to so much. So anyways, this year, the word of the year is unbothered. It is what it is. That's the energy we're going into 2026 with, and I feel like that feels clean. That feels good.
I think it feels good. I feel like it's on brand for both of us. And if you are listening to us or watching us, I think that this is a great opportunity for you to reflect after this episode, and maybe also drop it in the comments on either Spotify or on YouTube what your word of the year is going to be. The reason we love doing this so much is it really just gives us like an anchor point to what we want to focus on. So if you have big goals this year, or you just want to kind of be more intentional with what you do with 2026, write your word of the year down, put it somewhere visual so you keep getting reminded of it, and drop it in the comments so we can keep you guys accountable.
I love that. And also because we are in 2026 and it's new year, it's a new year, not an ear, whatever. New year, new energy. Do your vision boards, which we need to do.
We're going to do it soon.
Yeah, we're going to do it. But do your vision boards, because I have my vision board on the back screen of my computer and I just love it. And what I do, just a little thing before we go into the plans for the podcast, and then we'll talk about subs. With a vision board, what I like to do is actually edit things that make sense to my reality. So, for example, if I have a savings goal, instead of just putting the words $100,000 on a thing, $100,000 with a dollar mark, I will actually screenshot my internet banking, and then I'll go into Canva and I'll edit it to how much money I have in my savings. So if my savings goal is $100,000, I'll actually edit that number to $100,000, and it's all of my information. Same things if I'm wanting to like grow my following on Instagram, I'll screenshot my current Instagram profile and then change the follower amount to whatever followers that I want to hit for that year. And this can go into so many other avenues as well. But that's just my little hack for vision boards. Figuring out your word of the year, putting your word of your year on a vision board, and actually making your vision board makes sense to where you're currently at, but actually personalized to you, not just like a photo of a fucking matcha cup. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean anything? I don't know. So yeah, getting really specific. Into a little quick, very mini, what we have planned for the podcast this year.
Yeah, we are really excited. I think about a month ago, Kate and I sat down and we started kind of thinking essentially like what the next steps were for the podcast. And there was 2 things that we were very clear on. One is that we're going to go really hard on the podcast this year. And 2 is we want to do more things that involve our community. You guys in person. And we're thinking about how we could actually make that come to life. So we're obviously not going to tell you everything right now, but just to kind of start sprinkling some things that are to come, we will be having an in-person event.
Dun, 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 dun. And a couple of other little mini micro things sprinkled in throughout the year. Now, obviously, if you are one of our listeners from America or any other part of the world, unfortunately, we cannot get to you yet. Don't say never, but this will obviously be for the Aussie girls, mainly the Melbourne girls. But yeah, we have a lot planned. I know that's so annoying. I hate being that person's like, something is coming, and then it's like, well, just fucking tell me. But we can't tell you right now. But just know we've got an in-person event in some Honestly, it's going to be elite. We've already planned the whole thing. Like we already 100% know what we're doing. It's going to be so good. And then we've got other little things sprinkled throughout the year. So if you're a Melbourne girl and you're listening to this podcast currently, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure that you pay attention to our Instagram. That is where we're going to be dropping tickets, dates, times, venues, all of the thing. All the information is going to be over there. So if you don't already follow us over on Instagram, please go and do that. It's at Oi Let's Talk. That is where you're going to get all the best access into the events and things that we have planned. Now, supplements. Are they worth it or are they a waste of your money?
I think that when you're starting your fitness journey, you will get kind of bombarded with lots of different things that you'll see. You might see someone taking a fat burner. You might see someone promoting taking some sort of pre-workout before the gym. And maybe you're wondering to yourself like, oh, is this what I need to do to get the best results? Is this what I need to do to make the progress that I'm wanting? And we just want to give you evidence-based recommendations. You guys know that we have both been coaching people for over 7 years. We've seen it all. We know what works. We know what doesn't work.
Fossils in the industry.
We know what works, we know what doesn't work, and we just kind of want to cut through that noise. So you're, one, spending your money on what's actually going to help you, and two, that you're not feeling confused at all. So I'm just going to kind of start off with what I think is not worth your time, and I'm just going to start off strong with...
Can you just hold the fort for 1 second?
Whoa.
I just want to quickly chuck in one little thing here, is when we think about the word supplementation, it is there to supplement something that you are either not getting enough of inside of your diet or you can't get from your diet. So when I think about subs, and we're not going to talk about nutrition too much today, but just quickly, when I think about supplements or supplementation, I always want to be looking at, can I actually get this from the source? E.g., could I clean up the foods that I'm currently eating? Am I eating overprocessed shit all of the time and I'm complaining about bloating, so I'm buying a de-bloat drink? It's like, well, no, I could probably just stop eating so much shit and eat more whole foods, 80%, and then 20% soul foods, instead of just going straight into the, oh my God, I need to buy all of the supplements to get the goal that I want. It's like, look in your garden first before you try and go somewhere else.
Yeah. And other than nutritional supplements, we're also talking about sports supplements. So what's actually going to help your performance? So yes, vitamins, nutrients, all of that good stuff, but then what's going to kind of boost what you do at the gym? And there are some things that are heavily, extensively researched, like creatine.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other little things that you might see people do and you'd be like, what's that about? So I'll just jump straight in with creatine then, because creatine is one of those things that is so extensively researched. It has been backed and supported by so many different people, men, women, trained, untrained, as being a supplement that is worth your while taking. Off the top of my head, 3 to 5 grams per day in water or juice at any time, as long as you're consistent, ideally. And that's going to help you with, outside the gym, there's some cognitive benefits, and then inside the gym to mask your fatigue and just help you with performance. When we look at supplements and research, I always like to think about, there's a hierarchy of evidence. I might try to put it into the clip when we post it, but essentially we want to look at what actually has the most research, and that's systematic reviews. That's things that have so many different studies to support that being likely to be really helpful. And the bottom of this hierarchy is just like opinion, someone's bias. Like, I've done this and this worked well for me. And that's kind of what we want to help you steer you into when it comes to the recommendations that we make. We want to make, if we're going to back something, it has to be something that has a lot of evidence behind it, and creatine is one of them.
And not just doing like a quick Google search and just reading a news article about a supplement, right? Because 9 times out of 10, those news articles are, again, based on opinion, not actual research. So yes, very, very important. We've done a whole episode on that, like talking about using your own discernment, doing your own research, not just falling victim or, into the trap of listening to what people are pushing on social media to benefit themselves. I agree with creatine. I think it's great. I don't think that you have to take creatine though. Like, you get creatine from your food already. You don't have to do it. But if it is something that you're wanting to add into your routine, it is totally safe to do so. And like Gem said, it is a well-researched sub, which we love. I want to talk about fat burners. Waste of money? What do you reckon?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Fat burners are just marketing, dude. Like, when we think about how to quote unquote burn fat or quote unquote lose fat, what do we know we have to do?
exercise, calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all of the shit that we talk about on this podcast, right? When we think about burning fat or, losing weight, whatever that looks like, it's not going to be done through a fucking mixed drink that sometimes has glitter in it that you shot before you go to the gym. Like, we need to start getting a little bit more or start using our critical thinking of, is this just really great marketing or is this actually going to help me? When we think about losing fat, like I said, it is going to be based on your movement, whether or not you're in a calorie deficit, the foods that you're consuming, and it's not going to come down to just a little fat burner in a little thing.
And I get it as well, right? Because we want results yesterday. We want progress ASAP. And fat burners and marketing are going to lean into those insecurities and those desires, right? It's going to tell you quick. It's going to tell you extreme. It's going to market all of those things. So I really want to just basically ride home the fact that you would be so much better investing in a program, a coach, a gym membership, long-term than a supplement that you need to keep buying that's really not going to do much in the scheme of things, because your lifestyle is going to heavily dictate what you do and what you can maintain. Think about it as just kind of like very much a band-aid fix with any of these supplements as well, right? Anything that is a supplement, if you don't have your sleep nailed, if you don't have, good daily movement and resistance training and all of that, it's not going to do anything, because that's the crux of what actually moves the needle forward with the progress that you're trying to make. So we would highly recommend doing all of that before you worry about getting sucked into buying those kinds of supplements.
Yeah. And like Gem said, it's so easy to get sucked into it because they do market for get the result tomorrow, lose the fat quicker, burn the fat quicker, all of the things. But the reality is, for you to get a result, you need to change your whole lifestyle. And I know that sounds really scary and really hard, but it's the reality. And don't get me wrong, you don't need to change your whole lifestyle overnight. It's going to be a stage by stage, step by step process, but it's going to require a whole different version of you. Like the version of you right now who is lazy, who is inconsistent, who's full of excuses, who wants to lose the weight, right? You're that person right now. Your fat burner is not going to mask your inconsistency, your excuses, your laziness, your inability to stick to something for the long term. It may make you feel like you are quote unquote getting a result, but 6 months down the track, I can guarantee you're going to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm in the exact same position I was 6 months ago. I should have listened to Kate and Gemma on the Oi Let's Talk podcast and looked at my lifestyle factors, which were either hindering me or moving me closer to that goal. What's another supplement? Pre-workouts?
Yeah, I was going to say pre-workouts. Like the predominant ingredient in most of these pre-workouts is just a high dose of caffeine.
Yeah.
And the maximum recommended dose per day is 400 milligrams per day of caffeine, right? And a lot of these pre-workouts will have more than an average coffee. So you're going to have a big energy caffeine boost. But at the end of the day, if caffeine's the primary driver in the pre-workout, you could probably just have a coffee.
Absolutely.
I just have a double espresso personally before I train, and just again, caffeine from a sports performance point of view does help with your performance. Like athletes take caffeine tablets and things like that before they do races and all of that. So that is a proven thing to help, but it doesn't need to be the packaged pre-workout with all of the other shit that they put in there. It could simply just be caffeine in its pure form.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a coffee girl through and through. I personally hate pre-workouts. Again, this is my opinion. Remember, not research, my opinion. But I feel like pre-workouts are one of those things for me. They've never been good on my gut. I always feel like I'm bloated, uncomfortable, can't go to the toilet, too much information, all the things when I have it. I also really don't like pre-workouts that have beta-alanine in them, which is the thing that makes you itchy and scratchy and tingly and excessively sweat. I had that once and literally had to go home because I had a panic attack in the middle of the gym. I was like, the first time I've ever tried, I'm like, what the fuck is this? There's no way. So for me, I'm just a coffee girl through and through. Again, I just think, if you're spending $80 or $90 on a pre-workout, but you still don't have the results you want, spend $80 or $90 on a fucking coach to help you. It's not the pre-workout that's going to, and also as well, I do think it's a little bit of a mindset thing. So let's just say you've already had your coffee for the day and then you go and you hit a pre-workout. It's more of I'm in the car and I'm smashing my pre-workout, the G up to it, then necessarily people noticing the effects of a pre-workout in their training, especially if you're just like a Gem Pop client just going into the gym to train. I really don't think you're going to notice that big of a quote unquote difference in your training having a pre-workout or not having a pre-workout. I just don't think. And also if you're a girly that complains of like bloating or like gut issues, smashing an Oxy Shred or any kind of other pre-workout is probably not going to help you with your bloating, etc. And then if you're the person that goes and buys de-bloat drinks, I'd be looking at the pre-workout and shit with all the additives in it first.
I would also warn against using these supplements too heavily to mask poor lifestyle habits. Like for example, if your sleep is really shit, you're in a routine at the moment where you're scrolling really late, you're going to bed really late, like that's just your norm at the moment. And then the way that you're getting through training in the morning or training in the afternoon is having to have a pre-workout because you just feel so wrecked. Like that's the problem, is the root cause is the sleep. So it's like, look at fixing that first before you worry about this like Band-Aid solution that's giving you a bit of energy, because long term you're going to feel so shit if you can't function without pre-workout or excessive amounts of caffeine. And that's just not something you want to have to do forever.
And you're not going to get the result that you want anyways. Like we know that sleep and recovery is so important to actually getting you the result that you want, whether it's growing in the gym, so more muscle mass, whether it's losing weight, whether it's increasing your performance and reducing your fatigue. Like we know that sleep does so much. Brain health, brain fog, digestion, that all happens when we sleep. So it's really, really important that, you're not masking it with that.
And I just wanted to quickly touch on, like, if your interests are, I want to feel more energized and I want to feel stronger in the gym, I know that we can automatically think like shiny supplements, next thing to do, but don't underestimate carbohydrates for energy, to be more energized when you train. I'm stripping it back to the basics because I know that we can all forget this. Not being dehydrated is massive. Like being dehydrated, obviously by the time you realize you're dehydrated, you've got no energy and you feel really lethargic. But the night and day difference between, let's just say person one, sleeps really shit, has pre-workout, is kind of just running on this cycle of like just playing catch up with energy and having to mask it with pre-workout. Person number two gets on top of their sleep, is really well hydrated, has carbs pre-workout before they train, has a coffee before they train. The way that this person is going to, in the long term, get stronger, feel really good, see more progress. And this person is going to keep feeling like they're burning out and just not making the progress that they're wanting. So don't underestimate those fundamental things that you can do with sleep, nutrition, and water before you ever worry about all of the other stuff.
And remember, the quick way is the long way, and the long way is the only way. That's the reality of it. It's like those two people that Gemma mentioned. It's like that second person is going to get the result that first person so desperately wants way quicker, way quicker by just doing the basics. I feel like that kind of wraps up the episode. I don't think I have anything else to say. The only other thing that I want to quickly say is, like I said at the start, focus on your nutrition first. Don't try and add in all of these shiny things, the pre-workouts, the good marketing, until you've actually fixed the foundation. We've said this a million times before. The foundation, slab of a house, if that is rocky and cracked, you cannot put up walls and you cannot put on a roof. It's just going to crumble. Same thing goes when it comes to your nutrition, your training, and your lifestyle. So focus on that first. Look at your nutrition, 80% whole foods, 20% fun foods. And trust me, you will get there way quicker than you could ever imagine. But that wraps up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and being with us here in 2026. If you enjoyed today's episode and you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on the bell so you don't miss any of our episodes that drop every single Sunday at 6 p.m. And if you're over on Spotify, don't forget to rate this podcast 5 stars. We love you so much and we will see you soon.
See you. Bye.